In this analysis video, we're going to take a look at the swing of Billy Horschel. Now in 2014, Billy Horschel was the leading money on tour thanks in large part to his brilliant ball striking. Now, in this video, I'm going to help you understand why Billy's swing has a slight bias towards iron play, hopefully helping you understand what your swing's bias may be. With any Tour Pro analysis, it's easy to point out the similarities. Billy has a great one-piece takeaway, good pressure shift off the ball, tremendous flexibility in order to create this good-looking position up at the top of the swing. From the down the line position, we'll see pretty good maintenance of body angles. You'll see relatively good shaft lanes. You'll see a good athletic position at the top, all the classic traits. As he starts down, you'll see a very good shallow move with the arms. You'll see very good sequencing where his thighs are reaching parallel about the time his lead arm is parallel to the ground. Again, all the common traits that we would expect to see with a elite tour level ball striker. So what I want to highlight on is something that happens during his release that makes his swing a little bit more biased towards the angle of attack that works better with an iron. So the movement during his release that we typically see more representative in an iron pattern would be more of a vertical posting as opposed to a shift away from the target with the upper body. One of the things that I see on 3D is the best drivers of the golf ball tend to create a great differential between the location of their upper body and the location of their lower body at the point where their arc width reaches its greatest, right around here. So if we kind of create a rough representation of where the center of his pelvis and the center of his thorax is, we can see that there's a little bit of separation there. The great drivers of the golf ball tend to be up in the 6 to 8 inch range, erring closer to the 8-inch zone. And what I'll frequently see is starting from right about here, you'll actually see the thorax move slightly away, while with irons, you'll tend to see it drift slightly towards. You can see that Billy has a little bit more of that upper body kind of drifting towards the target, which can increase the angle of attack and make shallowing out the driver a little bit more precarious. So as we're seeing this year, he's still a good iron player, but he's struggling off the tee, and it's resulting in a little bit harder or a little bit higher scoring average. Let's take a look at a couple other pros demonstrating the opposite version where the upper body moves a little bit more away from the target as opposed to what Billy's demonstrating here with his driver. So here we have a couple clips of someone like Rory McIlroy. We'll also look at Adam Scott. And what we'll see is as he goes into that bracing kind of right in this zone here, you'll see that his upper body tends to follow that similar pattern that we saw with Billy Horschel, where it goes more vertically in its post-up move and then just continues moving through the shot in the follow-through. When we look at him with a driver, you'll see that as he starts going into the bracing right around here, you'll see that his head and his upper body actually move slightly away from the target, finishing their max movement away from the target right around this zone. And then it's not until the lower body re-engages that his upper body gets pulled forward. This would be more the classic pattern that we'll see with very good drivers of the golf ball that Billy seems to be lacking. Now, whether he's lacking it due to technique, coaching, or physical restriction in his pelvis, that part remains to be seen. So now we see Adam Scott demonstrating that similar difference in bracing strategies. Over on the right, we have a short iron, and you'll see that upper body tends to continue drifting towards the target through the release, where over here on the left, you will see that there's a clear shift of his upper body. You can use that gentleman in the background as a reference. And then as he enters the bracing, you can see his head and thorax slightly working away from the target, and it'll reach its maximum away from the target kind of in this zone right out in here, which is pretty typical for a very good driver of the golf ball. Adam Scott is currently the #1 ball striker on tour. So seeing what he and Rory McIlroy, who I believe is in the top 5, are demonstrating as the difference between kind of the ideal driver and the ideal iron swing. We can see how someone like Billy Horschel has all the makings of creating power and consistency, but his bracing strategy for his upper body tends to be more of the pattern that we would see for an iron, even when he's swinging a driver, and that can cause some of the difficulty that we're seeing with him off the tee. So now that you've seen a couple examples of the alternative, where there's a bracing strategy where the upper body moves away, or a bracing strategy where the upper body continues to move toward, you'll tend to see the pattern. If we jump back and look at Billy Horschel, you can see that upper body kind of drifting toward, and then even with the driver, slight movement away, but you'll see that it quickly turns into movement toward well before he reaches that follow-through position, where we see it maxed out with great drivers of the golf ball like Rory McIlroy or Adam Scott. So if you'd like to understand your personal bias, head over to Golf Smart Academy, where you can review all of our drill videos and concept videos to understand how the golf swing works, or you can submit your golf swing so we can tell you what it is that may be causing you to have the struggles that you have either with the driver or with the wedges, and what you can do about it.